Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. You've found Daily Dose Radio, your home for artisanal Bible study that's locally grown. You see, it's always fresher when you use local ingredients. Well, today we're looking at Psalm 93, and Psalm 93 is the subject of our study this week, and it's only 5 verses long, so we're just doing a verse per day. And today we come to the shortest verse. Yesterday we had the longest verse in the Psalm. Psalm 93, 13 words long in the Hebrew text. Today we come to the second verse, which I think is only 5 words long in the Hebrew text. So it's very short, but it continues the theme of God as King. He reigns. What does that whole idea of reigning mean? Well, it means that he is over the governance of all that he creates and owns, which, by the way, is everything. So God reigns. He's over all things. He's clothed with majesty, or he puts on majesty. He puts on strength and girds himself. That's verse 1. So he girds himself, that is, to go to work. He puts on that belt. He straps on that equipment that's necessary to bind everything together that he might go out and do the job necessary to create the world. In verse 1, he firmly establishes it so that it will not be moved or shaken. Now, sometimes the world shakes. Parts of the world will shake, such as what just happened recently in the country of Nepal. They had a horrible earthquake there. So the earth shook there, but the world itself is not shaken. That is, the created order is firmly established and is not going to be moved until God moves it himself. Today, verse 2, let me read for you. Verse 2, Thy throne is established of old. Thou art from everlasting. Let me read, that's verse 2 in King James. Let me read you my translation. Of old you established your throne. You are from everlasting. Pretty much the same, except in my translation, I continue that second person idea. The psalmist speaking to the Lord. Lord, put on majesty, put on strength, gird yourself. You have firmly established the world. Of old, in verse 2, then, he goes on to say, you established your throne. Because it is God's work. The throne is not established in any other way except by the work of God. It is his hand that does it. So God reigns. He is seated upon a throne, and that throne is where? It's of old. So this is our first, I teased you yesterday with this, about the 3 different ways in which the Hebrew expresses the ancient nature of God. This is the first one. He is of old. The throne is of old, which means, simply that it goes back so far that we can't even get a grasp mentally on how ancient God's throne is. He's been on that throne. It's not new. This is not something that just happened yesterday. He didn't just get put into office and his term will one day come to end. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's of old. And then we have in verse 2 the second word that's used here. Thou art, or you are, from everlasting. Now that is the normal word. The first word is not the word that we would normally think of in the usage of the ancient nature of God. But what the writer, this psalm, is doing is he's setting up for us 2 different words to express the same idea. It's that parallelism that the psalmist so loved to do. That's the nature of Hebrew poetry, is that parallel thought that's created these couplets that they write in. So, thou art from everlasting. And this is a more normal term. It means from everlasting. It means from eternity, from forever. Could also put it that way. You are forever could be another way to express this. So, God's nature as eternal is expressed here in verse 2, which is the point of verse 2. God himself reigns. That's verse 1. Verse 2, he is eternal. He didn't just show up. No, this is the God who is everlasting. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.